Good morning. Saturday morning, rainy morning. I'm a little tired. I still look sleepy probably. What's going on, everybody? I'm still trying to work out some kinks with this new program I'm using. And the old one used to let me kind of watch what I was doing live next to me. And this new system I'm not really comfortable with just yet. So I just got done watching, what does he call it? Coffee with Ken? Saturday morning coffee with Ken or something like that? Ken Tracy, I believe his name is. I'll tag his thing. It's pretty nice listening to him talk through his week and stuff like that. It's been kind of fun listening. So I like it. That's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks is I've been listening to his little show. I think he runs it out of Naperville. And so I listen to what he's saying. Kind of, he's got a nice, deep, smooth voice. It's comfortable for the morning. And yeah, he drinks a lot of coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. So that's kind of what I've been doing, getting me away from some of the news. I don't even know where to go with what's going on Village Board. I don't want to do it. I don't want to get into it. I want to have fun. I want to relax. I want to enjoy my time on Village Board. And we had a meeting that started at 7 p.m. and didn't finish until 1:35 a.m. for the following day. So I wasn't excited about that. That was on a Monday, and I had to be up at 4 a.m. the next day to go to work. So I was a little irritated, I suppose, by the end of the meeting. I hope you guys can understand that. That's just too long. It's too long to have meetings. The agenda items are too long. And then I get blamed that it's us. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm sure I'll touch on it in a little bit. I'm going to talk about something kind of fun. What did I do? Can I put a picture of it up here? Let's see. So, I have a friend who's also running for board. His name is Rob Taylor. Taylor made for Lisle. But Rob's kind of a funny guy at sometimes. Rob does some things that I think are entertaining. Other times I don't think it's so entertaining. But when he gets it right. And he started this, he likes to write words. Sometimes he comes up with things, and he calls this one Bamazon. And Bamazon is the act of, I forget the exact definition, but it's the act of purchasing something on Amazon that you probably shouldn't purchase, and it might have been on a whim, but you do it anyways. Well, I've been doing a lot of door knocking and walking around and stuff like that, and bicycle path commissions and all that stuff, and thinking about new paths and stuff. And I went and made a purchase. I Bamazoned something this week, and I'm going to put a picture of it up and tell you the story of it. Here it comes. Oh yeah, there it is. I bought the Wolf Warrior 11 electric scooter, and we're not going to talk about what I paid for it. I'm not going to talk about it at all. But as you can see, it's a pretty nice scooter. So it holds up to 350-pound men. So I'm shy. At 250, I should be good. It says that it has some top speeds that I think are ridiculous, actually. I think it's 40 miles per hour, something like that. You can run it in an eco mode that's a little bit better. It has two 1,200-watt motors in those hubs. I'm excited about that. I really am. But the problem with it is I wasn't paying too close of attention when I realized where I ordered it from. And apparently the Wolf Warrior 11 comes from New Zealand, I think. So I have a scooter that is in transit somewhere, I don't know, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. Which way do they come? Which way do they come around? So, yeah, I'm excited about that. That's going to be a little fun little toy that I get to use living on Main Street in downtown Lisle. I'm going to cruise that thing around, maybe do some of my door knocking on that little electric motor the e-market is changing drastically on that stuff. Segways. I thought about a Segway, and then I thought maybe I'd look like Paul Blart, the mall cop. And decided no Segway. Then I thought skateboard. Have you seen those electric skateboards? Those things are sweet. And then I realized that I can't really ride a skateboard myself at all. So one with a motor probably is not as good of an idea. So I opted for the handlebars. I got a little handlebar on there. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think that I got like 40 days left for it to come in. We'll see. We'll see how that works. I think it's going to be awesome. I like it a lot. I've always had dirt bikes and stuff like that. And this is a nice little off-road. I got the off-road package. I'm excited for it. So, what else? I didn't really have anything for sure that I was signing up to talk about today. I just kind of want to, go through some things. I wish that I knew my live stream worked better than this on this new program. I don't like the way I have to look back at myself. It doesn't, I don't think it shows the same way to me that it's showing to you guys. So there's like some confusion, sometimes the easier ways of just holding up your iPhone was better. But, yeah, I guess we're going to have to get into some of the local government stuff. I don't know. It's rainy. Campaigning stuff is coming. Petitions are going to be sent in real soon. Let's see. The first day that petitions can be sent in is Monday. This Monday, you'll start to see people put in their petitions, their packets. You have to have like your statement of candidacy, economic interests, all your notarized petitions. I think I have to have 180 or something like that. We did real good. We did real well. Collecting signatures during COVID, it was kind of tough. I really appreciate everybody being understanding that we had to knock on doors and try to figure that out. It was kind of a tough process, wearing a mask, knocking on doors, not being intimidating to people as they open their door. We did a lot of new little ways to get that accomplished also. And so that was good. And we're there. I got my signatures done. I've been analyzing them against voter records, and it looks like all my signatures should be pretty good. And we're going to be turning in. And I think there's a couple other candidates that are turning in. The current mayor of Lisle is circulating petitions with a couple people. Another trustee, it's my understanding, is also. And, it looks like it's lining up to be a 3-person race for the mayoral race here in Lisle. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to remain, like I said, man, I want to have fun. I want this to be a fun thing. And sometimes it's hard to maintain that when certain things are going on. It's hard to always maintain the coolest of composures. Like I said, we had a 1:30 a.m. meeting. I might as well get into it. It's what's been on my mind. This is kind of what I do now, is when I'm not running a crane, I'm organizing this campaign stuff. I'm working on government stuff, trying to figure out the ins and outs, what's going on. We're in the middle of a planning and zoning rewrite, which it's boring and it's a pain, but people need to pay attention to it. There's homeowner associations and stuff that are hiring attorneys, and those attorneys understand zoning, and they're going and basically they're setting the way the zoning code is going to be written for you. I think there was one public speaker that came to it. There's a bunch of different stuff. There's stuff about aircraft. I thought it was interesting to see aircraft on there, but then you start to think about drones and how drone delivery might be a future for all kinds of stuff. I mean, Amazon delivery, office delivery, medical delivery. So we have to write code to figure out what that would look like. And it's going to take a long time. And so there was some controversy over that. It's really a very, very difficult thing to try to even break down into a short assessment of what happened. But there's rules in our zoning code that allow the Village of Lisle to have jurisdictional oversight on properties that aren't even in the Village of Lisle. So if you're within 1.5 miles of the Village of Lisle, the Village of Lisle can say, we don't want this facility close to us because there's a potential for annexation one day. And so even though they're not within the village, they need to abide by this this zoning in case one day they were in the village, then they would be compliant with us. And this is something that I don't think has been practiced in the Village of Lisle very much over the years. So I don't think legally there's much ground to stand on when it comes to that. I mean, as far as like past practice goes, I'm no attorney, but it ended up causing quite a bit of a controversy. And ultimately, our mayor of Lisle had the planning and zoning chair removed from his position as the chair. And the funny thing is I don't often agree with the actual chair. We see things differently, you know, and that's fair. That's fine. You know, he is the chair of the planning and zoning, and he runs those meetings and does the things that he sees fit. And whether I agree with it or not, that's his role, and it's his role to hold. And I don't believe, me personally, because I don't agree with him, should try to get him removed from that position. And that's kind of what happened. And he kind of turned out to kind of look like a scapegoat in it. The imagery was just real bad with how that came out. And what it led to was an hour-long discussion about the reappointment of one of the other chairs who I would support, commissioners who I would support for that position, but I just didn't like the way it felt. And so we ended up in a hour-long discussion about the replacement of the PZC chair. And I don't think anybody walked away feeling good about that. I know I didn't, especially at 1:30 in the morning. We had other things on the agenda that need to be discussed. Financials need to be discussed, and they're being done at 1:30 in the morning. So that was a bummer. I was not excited about that. And, you know, I'm trying real hard to bring this government to you. You know, it's all going to come out on a platform eventually here. We're not even on the ballot yet. I have some people asking me like, oh, well, what's your position? What's your platform? This is all so early. Everybody is suddenly out so far ahead of the game with stuff. Our names aren't even officially on the ballot as candidates. So you'll see there'll be a rollout of my position on this or that. But basically what I try to provide for you guys here is just some general conversation about our community. I talk about the schools a lot, and it needs to be known, though, if for people who don't fully understand, the mayor and the village board has very little to do with the decisions made at the school district, and should have very little decisions made at the school district. Some people want the mayor of Lisle to be in charge of the school district and to be in charge of appointments and all of that stuff. I totally disagree with that. They're two separate entities, and the school board should function as such. So I try to, the way I promote the school from the position I'm at as a village trustee is to just reiterate that I believe it's a foundational part, and the healthiness of that institution is an indicator for the healthiness of the Village of Lisle as a whole. But the Village of Lisle itself shouldn't have much to do with the going on in the school district, unless you're talking about zoning issues. If they wanted to build, like at one point they were talking about having lights at Wild E Field, and they needed to, I think they had to apply for a special use permit to put lights in that area. So that was a discussion that is a carryover to where now the village is involved, because you have other community members that would be affected by lights, by new parking, more people out there on a Friday night for a game and stuff. So there are places where village board and the mayor should be involved in that. But for any of us to be injecting ourselves into those scenarios, I think it makes government very, very difficult to run. It's very, very confusing. That conversation in itself should never be had. The Village of Lisle is a separate entity than the school district, and it needs to remain that way. And anybody who holds those positions needs to be very, very clear why they think that, why they thought that, and and what and how it. You got to show me that that's not something that you think of. Hi, buddy, Tim Cahill. Good to see your name pop up on there, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope the family's doing well. Hope your finger's healing. I know you had a little interference. You had to interfere with a dog fight or something like that. You almost lost the fingertip. That's crazy, that picture of that. I don't know if you can share a picture on that, but go ahead. If we can see your finger after the stitches, probably after the stitches. I don't think anybody wants to see the first one. If you can share it down there, I'd like to see that. Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff. And then on the other side, you have the mayor of Lisle. Currently, this was one of the issues too. We just had to extend a contract for our director for the Lisle Economic Development Partnership. And I made a point during the village board meeting that this person is making $77 an hour. I'm not saying that I don't think the person can do the job. I want to be clear. This is a member of our staff. And the problem that I had at the beginning of this whole thing is the mayor put it on our agenda for our regular village board meeting to hire this person. We didn't get an opportunity to interview anybody else. Typically, that's how it works. We have our village board meeting, and then we have our committee of the whole meeting. The committee of the whole meeting, you can't create policy. It's conversation. It's discussion about items that are going to be coming before the village board for an actual vote and an actual decision. And so it gets confusing for people sometimes. I know I used to be confused about that. But we never even got to discuss the hiring of this director of our Lisle Economic Development Partnership. We were just given one choice, no discussion at the village board. Do you accept this person to be our director or don't you? And if we didn't, there wouldn't have been anybody to operate our economic development. We had gotten rid of, the mayor had gotten rid of the LCVB, which would have been a very good functioning entity to help us through COVID, but they don't exist anymore. They're gone. They used to operate right out of the village hall. And part of the mayor's plan for the last 4 years was to get rid of the LCVB and replace it with the LEDP. Well, the LEDP still isn't a functioning economic development. It's created some gift card program, which I think has 4 participants in it. And like I was saying, this person is a temporary placement to that, and they're making $77 an hour. I forgot I did the math. I think it's $9,000 a month for the last 6 months. And I don't necessarily think it's that person's fault. I don't even know, but somehow the mayor of Lisle is now running those meetings, and the person we're paying $50,000, $100,000 a year, $50,000 for the last month or for the last 6 months, isn't even chairing those meetings. So I don't understand why that's happening. It's one of those things where the mayor seems to think that it's his role to step into this LEDP and chair those meetings. Same thing goes with the schools. It's not the mayor's role to be involved in that. It's not it clogs things up. Let people go and do their jobs and don't interfere. The Village of Lisle should not interfere in this way. And it's causing confusion. On a more positive note, though, this is something that I'll roll out eventually in my plan. But like this is something that I think we can improve the next generation of government on. And the Village of Lisle, we're getting there, but under the leadership that we have right now, I don't think we're thinking in ways of utilizing all our technology to the best of our ability. Right now, this is what I keep saying. When you talk to your government officials, the answer has to be like, hey, you got to go to our website, or you have to come to Village Hall, or you should call your elected official. I want to change local government and eventually our national government 100%. I mean, maybe those are grandiose ideas to think that what I'm doing right here is gonna provide real change nationally. But right here, at the very least, we can do that. And so what I would like to see at village board meetings, instead of making you log in to the village website or log into YouTube and then click on the meeting and you have to go there at 7 o'clock or go there later and then watch the meeting, I would like to see the Village of Lisle go live on their stream. So if you're sitting there watching whatever your favorite show is, mine was Yellowstone recently, and you get distracted by your telephone like we all do, and you start scrolling through to see what people are doing and what people are saying, it might be 7 o'clock and time for a village board meeting, and you might have forgotten about that. But if you scroll through, and then all of a sudden, just like this, where it says Stephen A. Winz is live now, I think the Village of Lisle should have that. And so when you're scrolling your Facebook feed, if you like the Village of Lisle page, it'll remind you the Village of Lisle is live right now. Our agenda should be posted that way, you know, as you scroll through. Then you can see that, like, oh, what is on the agenda? So you don't have to go seek out what's on the agenda. I want to bring government to you. It's a government for the people, by the people, right? And we're the people, you know, and I know these are things that were difficult for me to get involved with. It made government seem intimidating, overwhelming. And there's really interesting stuff that's going on if you can weed through all the red tape and all the bureaucracy. You know, we're discussing our planning and zoning future. You know, we even have the authority to make sure surrounding areas of our village are acting appropriately and abiding by these certain codes. So we know that we're not going to have something right in our border that we don't like. So these are really important things that get blended up into a bunch of boring bureaucratic crap. And I want to find ways to do that. We just had a 6.5 hour board meeting. So if I become the mayor of Lisle, I want our IT department to determine, hey, let's break that down a little bit. Maybe we can cut clips. At this point, this is where we're talking about this agenda item. And so we could put just that agenda item up. So if you live in the Meadows, then we could focus, hey, this is a Meadows issue. This is the exterritorial conversation about the Meadows pool property. And then so you're scrolling your phone and you would see something like that and say, oh, I like that agenda item. You don't have to go through 2 pages of agenda items and 6.5 hour board meeting to try to find where that conversation was. So that's something that I can assure you, if I ever become the mayor of Lisle, that's going to change. We're going to find the interesting parts of government and bring them to you. So there will be links as you scroll your thing. It'll say Village of Lisle discussion on St. Joseph Creek flood issue, which is something that's coming up. I just signed up to participate in a Zoom meeting with the county board. I've been contacted by some people, and there's issues with St. Joseph Creek condos or apartments flooding over there off of the creek, right by the post office. That's that apartment building. And, you know, there's pumps that some people believe were operated by the county, some by the village, and then there's flooding. So these are things that are kind of interesting. And if we can separate them and share that, then I think people will find more interesting and participate more. Like, here's going to be a discussion about what's going on. I call it Precinct 89 because that's a political version of it, but ultimately the East Branch River Valley there. If that issue is coming up, I want to separate that And I want to bring that to the people of Lisle individually. And I think that, to me, would be really, really nice. You know, that is a way that we can make government come to you, you know, and then we'll hopefully get more participation from people in the community. There's a couple people that are trying to organize, like, and then COVID happened, but organize nights out where we'll go, and instead of like watching the football game, people who are interested in what's going on in the village of Lisle could get together and watch the village board meetings and discuss the village board meetings, look at the agenda items, contact other people in those neighborhoods to let them know what's going on in that neighborhood, because it slips by you. Life is busy. You got all kinds of things going on. And then next thing you know, at the last minute, you hear through the grapevine that there's an issue that could change your neighborhood, you know, forever. It's tough. We had a lot of participation recently with this Western Court closure, and the neighbors all came and expressed their appreciation for the temporary closure, and in the end, we didn't get it turned into a permanent closure. Oh, my lights just went off. Well, that's better anyways. It was so bright in my eyes. So yeah, there's that kind of stuff. And let's have some more coffee. And I don't even know, you know, it's disheartening. 6.5 hour board meetings. That's another thing. We'll fix those agenda items and make sure that the public doesn't have to go through 6 hour board meetings. How can you expect, and this is I mentioned that I might have got a little irritated. At one point towards the end of the meeting, now forgive me, I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember, I don't want to misquote the mayor, but this was a real problem I had, and this is when I got a little bit irritated, is Trustee Carballo had said in his closing comments that a 6.5 hour board meeting and 1:30 in the morning is unacceptable, and that we need to adjust our agendas so we don't get stuck, so nobody gets stuck in a 6.5 hour. Well, it's 2 meetings officially. So it wasn't one meeting that was 6.5 hour, but it was one night, both of our committee of the whole meetings. And Trustee Carballo had said that it's not fair to staff. It's not fair to staff that we're asking them to stay up until 1:30 in the morning. And he suggested maybe we give them a little bit of a break on coming into work in the morning. We're watching them sit there on Zoom, and they have to sit there and wait until their agenda item comes up. And they did that until 1:30 in the morning. And Trustee Carballo's statement was, it's not fair to staff. And the reply from our mayor was one of the most insensitive things that I could possibly want I guess that's a boss. I guess it's just the way he manages in general. And I'm a person of people, of labor, of the workforce, so his response to Trustee Carballo was, what did he say? I really want to do my best to be accurate on what he said. I don't want to ever misrepresent what somebody said. He said, staff's job is never done. Staff's job is never done. And that if they don't come into work in the morning, it's just going to postpone the work that they had to do that day into the next day and double their workload. And maybe it's the union man in me, maybe I don't even think, maybe I'm a union because of that kind of stuff. And I responded and I said, no, staff's job is done. They do get to go home. They do get to tend to their family. It's the holidays. I don't believe it's staff's job to be there until 1:30 in the morning at the mayor's whim, because he refused to let us, first off, that's part of the problem, is he refused to let us go to Zoom meetings the week before. And so when we didn't get a quorum, every item that was on the agenda from the week before had to get bumped to the following 2 week meeting. And so then you got, like you said, it doubles your work. You're right. Since you didn't provide us the technology to be safe from this virus, the week before, we couldn't participate via Zoom. And then our workload doubled. And you had ultimate authority to let us participate via Zoom. And you didn't give us that. And then you expect staff to work that way. So that's when I got a little testy. And it wasn't that bad. But I basically said, I'm like, no, they have it. They get to go home. And they, they have families. And to expect staff to be on call for 24, Captain Obvious. I did say, thank you, Mary. I can't remember when I said Captain Obvious. What was I talking about? But it was something that was obvious. I did. I was unprofessional at one point. The mayor had interrupted what I was saying to remind me of something that was very obvious. And I believe I quoted one of the commercials, Captain Obvious. So I apologize. But it's lost somewhere in a 6.5 hour meeting. So I wouldn't even know where to go to find it. But if you guys want to, it's all there for public record. It's broadcasted on YouTube. So, yeah, I had several conversations with several people about these board meetings going so long. And, well, look I guess I am at fault. I'm going long right now. What have I been on here for? 20 some minutes, 30 minutes, 34 minutes, I think. It's the, this new format. I can't tell. It's in the little tiny corner where it says how long I've been live. But, it was rude that people left the meeting before it ended while you were talking. Yes, I thought that was rude. Trustee Kowitzel, I believe, got up in the middle of my statements. I think Trustee Sadat left the meeting as well. After a 6.5 hour meeting, I can understand, but, I was coming to the defense of staff and other trustees just got up and walked out, when I was speaking, and whatever. I don't really care. Do whatever you guys want. You guys govern the way you want. And, I'm going to do it the way that I think is right. And I'm trying to talk to you guys like normal people. I'm a normal person just trying to figure it out. I don't claim to understand the entirety of our Village of Lisle zoning code, but I watched the zoning meeting the next day, obviously, so we had the mayor of Lisle trying to replace the chairman of the meeting with one of the commissioners. And so now the next day, Wednesday, it felt like the next day, we were up so long. The next day, they had a planning and zoning meeting. And so now we had to determine who was going to be the chair of the meeting. The person that Mayor Pisak appointed or the previous chair. And so I tuned in and I watched the meeting, and let me see, I took some notes on it. So there'll be another, this is it too. It'll be boring, but there's going to be important stuff. This is the writing of the zoning code. Drinking establishment was defined before. And that's the kind of stuff that gets done in this. So the next public hearing on planning and zoning, the rewrite of the zoning code, will be December 16th. There was some talk during this meeting about the definition of driving ranges, and this is where public comment is important, and people really just want this to be one person commenting. And I think the public needs to know, when we get to this thing, the question is Reedy's Tea Time and how it's defined as a driving range or golf entertainment. This language is important for how we develop in Lisle. So there's people that oppose Reedy's Tea Time being sold or being renovated and turned into something that would be like a Top Golf. And then there's people, and those people typically are the 15 or 20 houses that live to the east of Reedy's Tea Time behind Jewel. And I completely understand their position. That's a cool neighborhood. They got all these old oak trees, and I love it. and there's people there that I know that I care about their opinions. And, but those are the people that are coming to the meeting. And so those are the people that are going to decide if Reedy's Tea Time will ever be able to become a driving range that's two-tier, that might have a restaurant or a bar. And then you could have a professional golf trainers there. My point when I hear that in the meeting is it's like the bowling alley. Their point is like, oh, well, a Top Golf is different than professional services of a driving range. My comparison would be a bowling alley. You can have a bowling alley, and at one end you have people who are professional bowlers, league bowlers. They take it very seriously. And at the other end, you got a kid's birthday party with bumper bowl. So I view an entertainment facility like a driving range very similar to that. It's going to be a controversial topic, but this is what's going on in the Village of Lisle. I think a lot of people would like to see an improvement like that on that property. There's talk about the Park District buying that property someday. And then if the Park District has it, could there be baseball fields, football fields, more lights? So it all depends on your perspective. And obviously the people most affected is that neighborhood behind Jewel. So their perspective is being heard. They're coming to village board meetings or planning and zoning meetings and getting the opportunity to talk about it. So anybody who doesn't come up and talk about their support for that stuff, you're letting everybody else dictate to you what the future of Lisle looks like. And that's why I think I'm the appropriate choice to be the mayor of Lisle. I have my opinions. I would like to personally see the ability to improve on that property if you're the owner of that property. But that's just my opinion. As somebody who would be the mayor of Lisle, I just want people to be aware that these conversations are being had and come and participate. And because you have these long meetings and everything's so boring, nobody goes and participates. So that's what I want to provide is the Village of Lisle would put out an alert, on certain issues from the agenda that the community might be more interested in having a discussion about. The Village of Lisle, we would put out a message on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever, and say, hey, this agenda item is coming up on such and such date. Make sure if you're interested in these types of things, come and participate now. I'd like to also, in certain meetings, like maybe there's a way we can apply a certain amount of time to an agenda item in order to help alleviate some of these long discussions. If we got board a consentment from the board that said, hey, item 2, we're going to dedicate 30 minutes to. This item is 40 minutes or whatever, because it might generate more public comment. Maybe a little bit more of an organized system like that might help us operate in a fashion that gets more public participation. And that's ultimately what I want. I want all of our energy, because most of us, we care about the same things in town. I don't care if you're on the right or on the left. We care about the leaf pickup. We care about plowing. We care about the schools. We generally have the same concerns. We have different outlooks on how you make those things better. So that's something that I would like to provide, is what I'm kind of doing here, but actually provided by people who have degrees. The director of finance. Let's give her report. When her report is up, it should pop up on Facebook Live. Here it is. Here's our director's report. This is something that I found that was really helpful, and I also want to I want to make this part of my platform when the time comes. So because of Zoom, because of COVID, we're starting to see there's ways to bring government to you a little bit better. And one of these ways was the Economic Development Committee, which is separate from the LEDP. So we've got them meeting as well. They had a Zoom dial-in number, and they meet at 7:30 on Wednesdays, Thursdays maybe. And a lot of times I can't make these meetings. I'm at work. But because they had a Zoom dial-in number, I was able to call in from my phone, mute my speaker, shut off my camera, and just listen. And man, was it super rewarding. That event itself made me a better elected official for you guys. You know, I was able to listen to the EDC discussion, all the board members, all the commissioners, or whatever we call them in that. And so I learned some things during the EDC discussion that are all public. It's all public information. But so this is cool. So there's been talk of that Schmaltz's Deli moving into Lisle. They're aggressively seeking a place in Lisle. That's really good to know. And if I wouldn't have had the opportunity to call in and listen over the phone while I was driving, like I'm listening to the radio, you know, so that's something that I would like to be able to provide from our government. If you want to listen to the EDC meeting, like I don't want to listen to CNN or Fox News or even the local Chicago news anymore. I mean, I still do, but it was really nice to be able to listen to news that's going on in Lisle. And that's basically what the EDC meeting was. It's 5-6 people sitting around on their Zoom, having a conference call, talking about the fact that the Bank of America, over on Ogden Avenue, the south side of Ogden Avenue, Bank of America is going to be closing. They're going to be selling that property. EDC was talking about the potential for the village of Lisle to buy that property. You know, those are conversations. Would you, as a resident, want to see your tax dollars being spent to pursue the ownership of that property where the Bank of America is? It's the old Lisle Harris Bank. It's right next to the cemetery. You know, if that property goes up for sale and a private entity purchases it, and they then go through the same process, we're going to have another vacant building and developers coming in to look to develop. And if planning and zoning shows obstacles, and even if they're legitimate obstacles, you know, but by the village owning this property, it opens up potential for how our downtown Lisle district looks. I don't know what the cost of that property is, but these are things that I learned just from listening to the EDC meeting. A lot of times, I know I used to assume that village board members must know all this stuff that's going on. We're ultimately still doing the same thing you guys are doing. You know, we get a little bit more information provided to us through emails and little links that are sent. But, you know, we get caught up in our daily lives too, and it's hard to get to every one of these issues that are going on. So the fact that I was able to dial in and listen to EDC, and the public should be able to as well. So that's something moving forward that I really want to see, you know. And I don't care if it's flood mitigation, because if you live in Precinct 89, if you live on the East Branch, and the flood commission meeting is going on, then you might want to tune into that. And it's once a month. I don't even think they've been having them; they've been getting canceled. But those are conversations that, hey, we could do that. You could sign up for a link that said, hey, whenever there's a flood discussion going on in Lisle, please send me out a notification that that video is going to be provided on Zoom, and I can listen in live to that conversation. I don't care if you're talking about the mosquito abatement committee. We're living in a world where you should be able to turn on your phone and listen to it just like it was talk radio. I don't think you should have to seek it out on a, you know, like, oh, it's Monday morning at 7:30 a.m. This meeting is going on. I want you to be able to pick up your phone just like you would with anything and say, oh, hit Facebook or hit Instagram or whatever your favorite one is, and you start scrolling. And just like I'm seeing Byron Wright, then the next one is, you know, oh, Rosalind, what are you doing? You know, and then the next one would be, oh, Village of Lisle flood discussion. Hit this button, watch flood discussion. Why not? Why are we not here? You know, this stuff has been going on. I've been doing these live streams myself for what, 5 years now? You know, why is our government not providing us this service? You know, even in me as an elected trustee, what other discussions were going on in the EDC that I found interesting? Well, no, you know what? So this wasn't EDC. This was planning and zoning. But boy, it would have been nice if I would have scrolled through my phone and I would have said, oh, look at Planning and Zoning Commission is live on Facebook right now. Hit the button and watch it. I don't have to go to the village website, click the transparency button, find the Planning and Zoning Commission, hit recent past agenda meetings, click that button, link me to YouTube. I mean, as convenient as it is compared to what we had to do 15 years ago, it's actually inconvenient. I want to scroll by when I see it. So that is a service that we can provide where people can check it out, where people can see what's going on. So in planning and zoning, this is an issue that came up. Somebody came and presented planning and zoning, and I believe they were called Volt, VOLDT, after I did a little research on it, Volt Development. And the word that I heard publicly in the meeting is that there's a contract on a piece of property on Route 53 next to the Hyatt in Lisle. And they are proposing, I forget, they called it senior living. I don't know if it was 55 and older. The reason why is our officials believe they are above us and our opinion doesn't matter. Well, Greg, I certainly don't think I'm above you. I think I've read your comments in the past and been informed and educated by you, by some of your insightful comments. Those are the things that help me. I met another guy knocking doors, and he actually took the time. He found some things while watching the planning and zoning meeting that he didn't like in the zoning change. So he went inside. I continued and I knocked some other doors. He went inside and printed out his response that he had sent in, and then was really nice and even found the links and told me the code, the areas in the new zoning code that he didn't like and he'd like to see discussed. That was awesome. I immediately was like, you should be on a commission, because anybody who's going to participate in that way, thanks, Greg. Not you, sir, he said. So I appreciate that. I really don't ever want to be that. Sometimes I, in fact, I have people that tell me that I'm downplaying myself too much in that, and that I need to stop being I don't know what the word is. See, look at, I'm not above you. I can't even speak properly. So anyways, that participation is super helpful. Well, right now, the Village of Lisle should be aware, our zoning code, they're talking about a building right next to the Hyatt. And my initial thought is, yeah, that sounds great. That property has been sitting vacant for a long time. But the problem is, and our Planning and Zoning Commission is probably handling it the right way for the legality of it. It is zoned OR, I believe, office research. And office research has a portion that allows apartments, but some people don't believe that apartments should be a part of an office corridor. And then if this retirement type community went there, then those aren't really apartments or condos. So it becomes complicated. But quite frankly, without the community knowing that this is going on, with nobody tuning in to PZC meetings, and no offense to you guys, I understand why you don't want to do it, but that's why I'm here, is to tell you, I watched the PZC meeting and this is an issue, and people should be paying attention, because potentially that project could stop before it ever starts. And frankly, prior to COVID-19, it was hard to fill those corporate corridor buildings as it is. There's a lot of empty space there. And after COVID, it's probably going to remain empty and maybe even lose some, creating more space. Now you have a development that wants to come in and potentially build, I don't even know how big it would be, but man, I'd like to see 15 stories right there next to the Hyatt with a nice grounds, upkept landscape that got all those long weeds and all that stuff where people dump couches and stuff like that illegally. Create that space. It's right along the DuPage River, the east branch of the river. There's proposed bike paths to go through there. It's just on the southeast corner of the Arboretum. I mean, I can only imagine the Arboretum would appreciate something like that. If you have retirees that are now within walking distance, bicycling distance to the Arboretum itself, that's a nice way to start to drag the Arboretum's developments and their progress down towards the village, towards the downtown Lisle district. And the conversation seemed to be going that a development like that is going to be ruled by the planning and zoning code rewrite, not a possibility. And they would have to apply for special uses to make this stuff happen. And then that elevates the process. And I believe in this case, the planning and zoning is doing their job correctly by pointing that out, that, hey, this is written that way. But those people's vision is what is dictating the next decades of the development of Lisle. And that's why I'm running for mayor, man, is I'm here talking to you guys, trying to get your opinions on what the development of Lisle should look like in the future. And then I'm taking those opinions, not my own, to village board, to planning and zoning, and saying, wait, hold on a minute, this doesn't seem to be the consensus. So keep contacting me, keep getting involved. I'll try to warn you ahead of time when this conversation is coming up. December 16th is the next discussion on planning and zoning about the code rewrite. I mean, I don't think they got anywhere last meeting. I mean, I think they're on chapter 7, and at the end of the meeting, 2-hour meeting, they were still on chapter 7. So this code rewrite is going to take a long time. There's plenty of opportunity for public comment, but I'm busy, and it's hard for me to get to all that stuff to say, oh wait, planning and zoning is coming up, and then go and read that agenda. Sometimes those packets are hundreds of pages long. I'll say it again. Planning and Zoning Commission is one of the hardest commissions that we have. So whether I agree with the work that these people are doing on that board or not, they've got a lot of work to do. And it's super difficult. Like there's a lot of things to pay attention to. There's a lot of legality. That's what led to the stuff, to the replacement of the chair, is he had taken a position. He was concerned about putting his signature on something. And when he refused to put his signature on something, the mayor decided to have him removed from that position and have somebody replace him in that position. He claims that it was two separate situations altogether. I don't really believe that's what it was. I don't think that's transparent. So, yeah, man, this is the fun stuff going on in Lisle. I hope I'm not completely boring. I'm to the point to where it's like, I don't even care that I go an hour. If you guys want to watch it, maybe someone will talk to you and say, hey, you know what? The same thing. Winz was talking about this. I think it's around minute 34. Then go and listen to it at minute 34. I'm sitting here. It's Saturday morning. It's raining outside. I think this makes me a better village board member. I think it'll make me a better mayor if you guys happen to put me in that position. I really think you should, and it's not because I think it's not because I my ego is driving it. It's not about my ego. You know what's driving it? The development of Route 53 at the corporate corridor, I-88. The development of Lockformer was a conversation during the EDC meeting. There are so many things going on, and I think what everybody else is doing is they're talking heads. They're just saying what they can do so they can be the mayor, so they can be the one to walk around all proud that they're the mayor of Lisle. Listen, this isn't, I want to do it because I don't think anybody else is doing it the right way. I think I've got the best perspective as somebody who has been in this community for 5 generations. I've been here for 45 years. And I also think I have a progressive vision of, hey, we're not a cobblestone road, horse and buggy anymore. You gotta accept that. And in our redevelopment, though, we can create that image in our downtown Lisle. The Bank of America is going to be available. Man, we blew it on the purchase of Lisle Savings. I can't even remember the names of them. It's now the corner of School Street and Main Street. That property was for sale. I think it ended up being sold for $750,000. The Village of Lisle could have purchased that property and demolished that building and then created a little space there. First off, the development of Family Square would have been a lot easier because now the properties are consolidated, and then we could subdivide and portion it off and give the developer part of that corner. Now that bank's stuck there. That should be a beautiful corner as part of our downtown marquee entrance to our community. We blew it. Now there's a bank there and they're operating great, and they've done a good job remodeling that building. It looks good and I'm happy they're there. But prior to them coming there, the Village of Lisle had an opportunity that was blown under this current administration. This is how we have to start focusing on this development. And, I think we can do it without raising taxes. I think as we develop and we get some sales tax revenue, and we start to do these developments, we might even be able to remove some of our property taxes, because we'll turn Lisle into a place where on weekends we might get some tourism. We might get some people that are coming from other areas to spend their money, and this will generate revenue for the community, for the village. And then we'll be able to have our finance director look at ways that we can actually lower your property taxes. That's probably a long way off, but I know that it happened. I think it happened in Westmont. There's communities that are pulling this off. I think Oak Brook has some of the lowest property taxes, or maybe they don't even have any. I'd have to look into that. But it's a ongoing process. I think I can do the right job for you guys. I think I can communicate to you what's going on in government, and I think I can communicate to government what's going on with the people. I don't see other people doing that. I think the last 4 years with Mayor Pisek has been proof that for whatever reason, conflict follows his decisions. I mean, I supported Mayor Pisek. When I was knocking doors for myself, running back in, 2017, I was knocking doors for other candidates, and I was passing out information for Mayor Pisek and Prosperity for Lisle. I was excited. I voted for him. And it took about 3 months and me making one decision that didn't exactly toe his line, which I even preemptively told him that I wouldn't make that decision with him. It was about the LCVB. I said, I won't. If you go this direction, if you go this route against the LCVB, you won't have my support. And then when I didn't, that's when our relationship parted ways. It didn't have to with me. We could have still gotten along on other issues, but he created, or whether he created it or not, I'm sure I contribute to that in some ways. It dissolved our relationship, and you're seeing relationships around him dissolve. I can't believe that there's people currently going to be circulating petitions to run with him for office. I would recommend you don't, personally. I think it's going to be bad for you guys. I think if Mayor Pisek wants to run, I mean, good luck. I know some of you, and I just don't think. I think he's had an opportunity. We've seen what he can do in 4 years, and it's not working. It failed during planning and zoning with people that he's appointed to those planning and zoning positions. It failed with me. There's other trustees that were once running with that group that are now running independently. And if we continue that path, our village is going to crumble around us as well. Purchase Bank of America. Oh, wait, hold on. There was another couple comments. One was about food, so I want to do that. I thought it said do another food review. You know what? Last night I ordered Luciano's. I would never have ordered pizza from over there on Ogden Avenue. I'd never tried it. And then I was at someone's house and they said, oh yeah, we're ordering from Luciano's. I'm like, that place? I've never ordered from that place before. And so I had some of it and it was great. My dog's ready to go outside. and it was great. So I ordered it last night, and I almost did a food review, but I was embarrassed because I ordered I ordered an entire family size large, extra thin. It was an extra thin pepperoni pizza. Enough, dog. It was an extra thin pepperoni pizza, man, and it was good, and I ate way too much of it. So I can't even eat breakfast this morning. I'm still full. But I should have done one. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to do another. I didn't want to do another one. Rich Wilkie. You Googled the Wolf Warrior scooter? Let's put that picture up again. The Wolf Warrior. Check that out. Listen, there was a deal on the Wolf Warrior scooter. But yeah, I Bamazon. That was a new personal record. I Bamazon the Wolf Warrior. Woke up the next morning and was like, I don't know if that was a great purchase. Excuse me for 1 second. I didn't want to hear you guys raise my voice at my dog. Sometimes it's the only way he'll listen. Yeah, the Wolf Warrior. Look at that thing. So full transparency, I believe it was $2,600, Mr. Wilkie. It really was. But I did convince them to throw in 2 extra sets of brake pads, because I figured with my 250 pounds going 40 miles an hour, there might be an occasional slow stop. Or maybe I'll even want to skid that back wheel like you used to do on your BMX bike. See if I can't throw that backside out. Yeah, well, you know what? I wanted a dirt bike. And I wanted the new Yamaha makes an electric mountain bike. It's basically a moped that goes 40 miles per hour. Man, you guys, if you're into that stuff, go to YouTube and check out some of the technology on e-bicycles. This is one of the reasons why I talk about our bike paths. Our sidewalks that are going through on our bike path area, those need to be. Hold on, let me transition out of that thing. We probably need to go to asphalt in some of those areas. This industry is going to change. We're eventually going to have to write zoning code and stuff like that. If you're going to have those types of scooters running around on your road, or sidewalks, right now, I don't know where legislation is on that. So that's something that I actually wanted to bring up. That's part of the purchase. I'm going to be using that on public streets, going door to door. Or do I use it on a sidewalk? I don't even know. I'm a village board member. Am I going to get pulled over on my Wolf Warrior 11 when I've got my petitions in my hand circulating? I guess the Lisle police would have to make that decision on their own. Let's see. Where else are we at on comments? Oh, we're going for an hour. I don't care. Don't watch. Greg, purchase of Bank America and do a land swap with the other bank. The Main Street property needs to be our village's first priority. I agree with you 100%. The development of Main Street needs to come first. That Family Square property should be a priority in development. There's a property to the east of there as well that's like 6 houses that are all for sale. And that individual, I'll just name him. I don't care. McHale, we call them McHale properties. He came before the village board and wanted to discuss, and planning and zoning, and wanted to discuss putting up like 40 some townhomes. And my initial thought was, I don't think 40 townhomes is what we need right there. But thankfully we have these meetings where people discuss things, and I understood what the petitioner's position was. And then ultimately he decided to not build those because he was told that there is planning and zoning. I think there's rules that say retail space. There needs to be X amount of retail space underneath that stuff. Well, who builds townhomes that have retail space underneath it? And people keep telling me how the downtown Lisle business district has limited acreage for development. And I understand what you're saying. It does appear that way. But, for instance, Bank of America just sold or it just has gone up for sale. That's probably, is that as big as Family Square? Is that, I mean, when you consider the parking lots, is that going to be 3 acres? I don't know. Maybe Rich Wilkie knows that answer. He's on economic development. But that's something that should be considered. And then there are possibilities with land swaps like that. There was a talk about a land swap with the library for that McHale property. And the Lisle Library would build a building there. I've got some pictures. I'll post them up later of what that would look like. Spencer Street has already been shut down to Burlington for the development of the Marquette properties. People forget that those are 2 buildings. There's that little walkway that's paver brick that goes in between the Marquette properties. And that's Spencer Street. Wouldn't it be pretty if Spencer Street was like paver brick that whole way, all the way to Ogden Avenue? And that's where our French market was. That's where where you went on Saturday morning in the summer, you know, and watched people ride by on their e-scooters. No, but all that stuff is changing. Our little downtown, there's plenty of space for development. Look at Burlington Avenue across from Ramey's, down towards Route 53. You know, those are places that one day will likely be redeveloped if downtown Lisle starts to get the foot traffic and the energy that it should as a community on the corner of 88 and 355. I don't know how many times I've said it. That's what we are. That's where we are. And there's been opportunities that have been missed over the years. And that's all I'm trying to do is make sure these ideas are out there and talked about. And you realize, look at, there's on the southwest side of the southeast side of Main Street and the railroad bridge. Those are old buildings there. I've talked with some of those owners that they would be interested in relocating at some point. I would like to see some of that stuff go up to the Lockformer property. There's Department of Environmental Protection Agency problems with some of that stuff, but I don't know, maybe automotive is something that we could look at. So these would be decades, 10 years down the road or whatever. But to think that Lisle's, that downtown area is so limited on space, I think is the wrong image to have. There's 100 years, especially at the rate that Lisle develops things, we got 100 years worth of development available in that space. And so we shouldn't be shy on how we move forward. If you don't like those townhouses at Spencer and School Street like that, you're right, there's land swap availability. So there's a bunch of stuff we can do. And I really hope, when I say that I really hope you guys understand that this is this isn't about me. I can help us. I think I can. I think that people can talk about bringing the community together, and you have to do this, and we need to all get along and stuff like that. But that doesn't necessarily make it true. You know, if in the process of saying we need to all get along, you completely separate yourself from somebody who was once your close friend and ally, are you really getting along? I mean, the B Lisle group is basically made up of people who I helped get elected. 100%. Mary Jo Mullen ran for township supervisor. I knocked thousands of doors to try to help Mary Jo Mullen get elected. She spoke to me when I was going to be running for mayor as if we were going to have a strong partnership and be allies. I felt bamboozled when she became this group called B Lisle. Tom Duffy is on that group. I helped Tom Duffy get elected to library board. Tom Duffy's lived in Lisle for like 2 years, 3 years. And he's fulfilled 2 years of his term on the library board, and he wants to move up to the village board. I didn't support Tom Duffy to go to Lisle Library District and then leave after 2 years with his ambitions of being on village board. Trustee Sadat. Yeah, I helped you a lot. I helped you a lot with that position, and for you to have decided to run for mayor, that's fine. It's completely, all of you guys, I'm not opposed to the idea that you guys have decided to run for these positions. It's 100% your prerogative. The fact that you weren't forthcoming and honest with me is where the problem came. So I'm sorry to dive into that. I don't even know how I did it. I'm talking live and I probably shouldn't have. So I apologize for doing that to you guys. I apologize to the community for that, but I don't think that's the way we move forward and progress and get along, is to not be honest with somebody who's worked with you so many times, to then find out, through other means, what your actual intentions were. So my feelings were hurt about that. They're entitled to do what they're doing and to run. And we'll have to see how that goes. But I hope everybody understands that I'm just trying to build Lisle the best way that we can with the least obstacles and get the most community input. All right. So forgive me. I shouldn't have gone down that road. I feel bad now. But maybe I just had too much coffee. It's probably my 6th cup. So yeah, Family Square development. If you save someone's life, someone's getting hit by a car in the Arboretum, you would be a shoo-in. Oh. I'm sorry, I'm not a hero like that. I didn't save anybody's life from getting hit by a car. I also don't happen to show up at every car accident and take selfies. If I'm there, man, if you guys see me at an event, or if I'm checking in to planning and zoning, or if I'm telling you that I listened to the EDC meeting, I listened to the EDC meeting in basically its entirety. I got on a little late. I tried to sign in, and I don't think the host of the Zoom meeting had saw that I was signing in. So I had to text some people to tell them that I was trying to sign in, and then I was able to sign in. And I listened to the entirety of the meeting. I'm not sitting here trying to make it sound like I was someplace that I wasn't. PZC. I listened to the entirety of the PZC meeting the following day. I missed Mark Daniel, the attorney for Corporate Woods. In the beginning, I was kind of on the phone and I had muted him for a little bit. I picked up with the second presenter, which was, I believe her name is Kelsey from Volt, and talking about the potential development by the Hyatt there. So, yeah, thanks for noticing that. I'm not an ambulance chaser. I'm trying to actually tell you guys where I'm at and what I'm doing and what I've learned. All right. Well, I'm going to get going. I got nothing else really to do. I'm relaxing. I'm done getting signatures. We're packeting everything together to get ready to be turned in. And that'll be, I think, like I said, Monday is the first day to be turned in. I think the following Monday, the 21st, is the last day to be turned in. Christy Lee, what does that say? You showed up for non-toxic Lisle and not just a photo opportunity. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think I tried to stay out of the photo. I think someone asked me to get in the photo and I felt bad that I really didn't know that much about your event. I went to the event to learn about the event. I probably should have known more about it in the beginning, before it happened, especially because, and here, this is one of my faults, I own a house on Southport. That's the first place I moved after. Well, I rented some places in Downers Grove and Lombard between 1994 and 1999, but I bought my house in 1999 right across from that park where you hosted that event. And I probably should have been a more informed person that was going on, but I saw what it was and I was interested. And I think those ways of thinking are very, very important, Christy, and I'm glad that you're doing it. I don't fully understand it. You can always reach out to me about it because we need to pay really close attention. That's where national politics and global politics, in fact, enter into our little world, is development of chemicals and how the EPA interprets these chemicals and who gets put in charge of the EPA. And then who gets put in charge of the Illinois EPA? Those are things that bleed down into our local municipalities, our counties, that we only have control of by going out to vote. So what you did with that event was informative, and I learned stuff from it. And I didn't want to be in a picture because I was embarrassed that I didn't know as much stuff about it as I probably should. So I think you have my email address. You can private message me here with some links on what that is. I like videos. Christy, I got to tell you, I like the videos because I can listen to them while I'm driving at work, while I'm driving to work. And sometimes reading that stuff is a little bit more difficult to fit into my busy schedule. But always, if you do send me something to read, I will do my best to get to it. Thank you for doing that. Do another one. I know those are tough. Non-toxic. I mean, that's about like keeping your neighborhood community and your grass and flowers and bushes growing without certain chemicals and pesticides, if I remember correctly. It was a pretty nice event, and I'd like to see more of that. I'd love to see how that could be applied to large places like football fields, soccer fields. Those are some of the biggest green spaces we have in our communities. And you're really going down a good road with that stuff. And we need more people like yourself doing that. So if you're ever interested too in, I don't know, what commission or something like that might be. But if you find something at the Village of Lisle where you think might fit your talents, let's make sure your talents get put to use like that. All right. That's the biggest thing. All right. Well, there's an hour and 20 minutes. You want to say hi to Elif? He wants to say hi. Hi, buddy. Okay, we'll get going. You want to whine for them? Look at you, just put all that hair on that microphone in 1 second. All right, everybody. You guys I love you, boy. I really do. You guys have a wonderful Saturday. I'm going to go and try to do some things. Try to do a little bit better every day. Be a little bit better. All right. I really do, man. I say it, and sometimes it sounds goofy to people because a lot of you guys I don't know. I've only met through this. I look forward to meeting you. But in general, man, I love you. I love all of you. I love people. I love humanity. I love my dog. I get mad at him sometimes, but it doesn't mean I don't love him. All right. So you guys have a wonderful day. Be good. I don't even know how to hit the end stream. All right. Bye, everybody. Oh, wait, I can put on my music logo and transform it into that, can't I? Yeah, let's see. Hear that little cool folk song.